hour.
We all go a little mad. We get you.
The dead follow legendary.
You are going to die tonight.
All right, hello, and welcome to the Horror Hour. Place we discuss, we debate, we disagree on all things horror. I'm one of the co-hosts, Yutaka. Hello, and today I have with me Steve.
Hi, everyone.
And we are going to break down and recap season 2, episode 2 of Yellowjackets, and it's called Edible Complex. Think we know where that's going.
Tasty. Yeah, so kind of like the first episode, we're starting off in the past, where Shauna's still having her hallucinations of Jackie, and they're having this conversation in this little shack, where she's talking to Jackie about rations getting low for the group. And then it's kind of a fun little back and forth, where I guess it's Shauna's inner morals, inner stuff working through Jackie. And Jackie's kind of asking her about what happened to her ear, and which we know in episode 1, Shauna ate the ear. So she's kind of braiding her hair, kind of trying, I guess, make it look like, it's not so obvious that the ear is missing. Then we kind of cut to the group of the girls where Taissa wants to check in on Shauna. Taissa's getting real concerned about all the time that Shauna's spending with Jackie's body.
Because it's a lot.
It's a lot of time, and I think I forgot, like, it's been like 2 months since Jackie died too, so she's like a 2-month-old corpse now. And then there's that excuse where they couldn't bury her, so they had to put her somewhere because the ground was too frozen. But Lottie stops Taissa from going out to check on her, and the group's kind of debating about food in general, and they're like, well, we should just eat Shauna's rations, and they stop from doing that, and then they start to smell something funny, and it turns out no one has been really cleaning out the poop bucket. So Taissa takes the poop bucket and goes. And we cut kind of back to Jackie and Shauna, and dead Jackie's kind of taunting her about Shauna's craving for flesh.
Shauna's going through it on this one. And then so Van wakes up to know Taissa, runs out to find her, and Taissa is, of course, homegirl sleepwalking. And she's following a tall man with black hair and no eyes. And so Van obviously runs to grab her. Van suggests maybe we should talk to Lottie to kind of help her. But she's like, absolutely not. We're not talking to Lottie.
I don't know what you think about the the creepy guy. That was kind of looked like the Sinister. Kind of gave me that kind of vibe, right?
Yeah, I could totally get that. Kind of the ghoul.
But yeah, so then we cut to Natalie watching Trevor receiving Lottie's blessing. So again, this like spirituality cult mentality is starting to really kick off. And then she goes out with him to kind of continue mapping and looking for Javi. And they start kind of debating back and forth about Lottie's spirituality. Nat's calling it BS. And Travis is like, no, it's pretty, I don't know. Like he's buying into it, and a lot of the group are. But then from there, they decide to split up, which I'm like, should y'all be really splitting up? But they do. And they agree to meet up later on.
Yep. And then, you then cut the scene, Taissa finding Jackie with her makeup. Like,
full
her face was beat.
Beat face.
Yeah. So she confronts Shauna, and Lottie then defends Shauna, which is ridiculous, in my opinion. But Taissa's like, we need to cremate this. This needs to stop. We're cremating Jackie.
But I see what Lottie's doing, right? She's doing what all those cult leaders do. They buy in. They like feed you that little bit of empathy, and they hook you in. It's quite interesting. And then we have Shauna, who's, watching the girls get ready for the cremation. But they want her jacket. They want Jackie's jacket. And she's like, no, we're not taking her clothes. Like, it's going with her. She gets to keep the jacket. And then Lottie kind of makes all the girls back off of Shauna, kind of again trying to get Shauna on her side. But then she sees where Jackie's missing a little bit of flesh, which we didn't say in the beginning of the first scene, is that Shauna actually cuts a little bit of meat from Jackie's arm, and Lottie spots that. But she does something that's kind of sweet, where she takes Jackie's necklace and gives it to Shauna, I guess as a peace offering, just a symbol of like, okay, here's something that you can take from her, which is like jacket, necklace, it's all the same, but Shauna gets to keep that part at least.
And can I say though, they are out there in the winter. They should have saved the jacket. That was stupid.
I mean, they need a little warmth, right?
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly. I am curious as who's going to end up getting that necklace, since that's, remember the very first episode, the girl running with the necklace falling on the spikes. So I'm curious who truly ends up with that,
Right.
But what we see then is Travis alone in the snow, Nat as well. Nat then fakes finding Javi's clothes in the woods, says she found it hanging on a branch, but took it from his luggage and then covered it with her own blood.
Yeah, which in a way I get what she's doing. She's trying to like give him some closure, even though there's no confirmation that Javi's dead, but I get what she's doing.
True.
And then Nat and Travis show up to the cremation, and they kind of just tell the group that they found this clothing, right? So Travis is buying it. They're telling the group that Javi's dead. And then Shauna starts the cremation. And then Travis, kind of in his moment of closure, burns the piece of clothing, says goodbye to his brother. And then the two of them kind of stand side by side in their grief, which was a nice moment.
It was. Yeah, no, it was. And then, then we see Travis kiss Nat, and they're going to get all freaky, which is cool. But what's happening though is, Travis is seeing Lottie every time Nat touches him. So, and this kind of, I think, goes back to the previous episode where, he got a vision and then all that blood went rushing somewhere. So they just full on have sex. And then I like that you put that in an Evil Dead camera.
Yeah.
Snow over Jackie. Because the camera goes a little wild and this huge thing of snow just falls on the body, which is pretty much just barbecuing it at this point.
Right. It keeps it from like fully burning, and it creates a little bit of a rotisserie situation.
Yeah.
But I did love the Evil Dead camera. I don't know if that was a direct reference, but it felt intentional. and I dug it.
That's funny.
But yeah, so after the snow falls on Jackie, she's getting cooked. So the girls wake up to the smell. They're like, like, what's that? And, and they all kind of step out, and the show does this really cool thing that I liked, where it's, the girls kind of come up, and I forgot who says it. Someone's like, Jackie wants us to, which they're taking it as a message, right? That the woods, like created this situation. And they start kind of like circling around the body and start to eat Jackie's flesh. But they do this really cool thing where it's like this Greek or Roman imagery, and it's cutting back and forth.
That.
That was cool. And I feel like for them it was like a way to take away from the horror, the fact that they're essentially cannibals at this point now, like just full on, like but also that they really needed it, right? It was like a feast for them.
Because they've been like literally eating off rations.
Yeah. So, but then Coach is the only one that doesn't partake, and he's watching, he's freaking out. He kind of just backs off. I don't know if he locks himself back in the cabin, but he goes back into the cabin. And as the girls are enjoying Jackie.
Well, and Travis is too. Don't forget, Travis is out there eating.
Oh, Travis. Right. Travis he's all in.
Yeah, no, Coach. Who knows? But Coach is just like, I'm not having any of it.
Which makes me think maybe he's next on the menu.
Oh, yeah, I kind of feel that's going to happen. So then we're going to go ahead. We're going to, jump to the present. And we see Callie Can't stand that little girl.
Oh,
Numbing herself with a vape pen in bed with her boyfriend. And then she says her parents are being fake. And just then it's like, I'm going to break up with Kyle.
yeah. I couldn't get it. Like he just wasn't being empathetic, and she was just like had enough of him. She just brushed him off, and boom, that was it. Yeah, no, she's getting on my nerves too. That Callie, I I don't know what it is. I have no patience for teen angst or 20-something.
Same.
But then we cut to Thaisa, who's home, and she's chugging her espresso, and her kitchen is a freaking mess. She's alone, she's stressed, she's kind of got this little routine where she's working out, she's taking pills, but then we get a weird moment where her reflection moves without her, and it's a weird. We see it. What's really going on? And that's and I love that the show is playing with this idea of, is it supernatural? Is it not
Mhm.
supernatural? You know, and I dig it.
I feel they still are going to go that route. You know, kind of going back to like when she's on the ledge and she's going after that man.
Right.
You know, I see where they do those things. And, you know, then we see Lottie talking about intentional community with Natalie, and which is funny because then one of the why can I not remember? The actress's name is Natalie Maines. I can't remember her character's name, but she brings Lottie her coffee, but it's not the right coffee. And Lottie's like, it's okay, you know. And as she walks away, she throws it out. And I thought that was interesting because that to me, I was like, Lottie isn't really practicing what she preaches, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see Callie dismiss Shauna wanting to spend some time because, you know, Callie's a bitch, in my opinion. Misty leaves a voicemail for Thaisa about Nat, while also then replying to Elijah Wood on the Reddit about hacking into the footage.
Yep. And then we have Kevin the cop show up and asking Shauna about Adam, and he mentions that they have records of her text messages with him going back and forth. And then Callie kind of confronts her about why did she lie, you know, and and then they kind of get into this impasse, and then Shauna's like, at least just go out the back in case he's still there, you know, and she kind of kicks her out, and then so you know they're both kind of, well, Callie's just putting up that wall, you know, even though she wants to confront her mom, but no answer she gives her matters because she's always going to have a comeback, which is like,
yeah.
And then we cut to Thaisa. She comes downstairs and she finds her son, who says that he's walked home and he's playing with the dog, Steve. And then that his other mom doesn't know that he's there, which Thaisa calls and tells her what's going on. And then we have a quick scene with Misty looking for a response on Reddit, but there's nothing there. Alas, we finally get our first glimpse of Elijah Wood. And he's having a tour, I guess, of the nursing home that she's, you know, I guess this is grandmother or someone. And he kind of gives her a look. And then she finds a blank letter left for her in the work fridge.
That, you know, and I can't wait to see the chemistry between those two.
Yeah.
Then we see, you know, Lottie lighting some candles and then tells Nat that Travis told her in order to defeat the darkness, he has to get as close to death as possible, which Lottie tells him he's in the grip of his trauma, you know, and Lottie's trying to help him calm down. It says Thaisa, well, Nat wants to know why Lottie didn't reach out to her, and Lottie did say that Travis, you know, it would make things worse if you know, Nat were in this picture. So, and then what we see, which is crazy, is that he's rigged it to where he's got the rope or the noose or whatever hooked up to a crane. And so the purpose was for him to lift up, and then once he pass out, Lottie would then bring him back down. Well, what happens then is we see him struggling. He passes out, but then when she's trying to hit the remote, it gets stuck and it doesn't let him down from the machine. And then suddenly you see Lottie sees the ghost And it is of what's her name? The blonde girl. Well,
I
is it
can't
Laura
remember her.
Lee? It's Bible Girl. We'll just
The
say
Bible
Bible
girl.
Girl. And so they're like, okay. And Lottie's just like, what is happening? And then she makes Nat spend the night because really there's no buses, to go back. And then back to now we're with Thaisa, and the ex comes over, but the son is now missing.
Mm-hmm. Right, windows like wide open. They're like, all right, call for attention. And then we have a scene with Callie. She's at a bar with her friend, and they're talking back and forth about their parents. And Callie sees a guy over at the bar, who John Reynolds. I love him. He's from Search Party. And
Yeah.
he's Stranger Things. I just adore him. But she goes over to talk to him, and they kind of relate about just having parents with strained relationships.
Yeah, and then we see Natalie going to bed, and as a flashback, and then she has a flashback to being resuscitated, Meanwhile, you got Misty cleaning the bird cage, using the flashlight to read the letter. Elijah reveals that the camera is a dummy. And then, what? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading it. It's Dummy Miley.
Oh, my notes. Dummy. I think it was supposed to be a dummy camera. I don't know why it auto-corrected to Miley.
Y'all, this is low budget
notes.
right now.
I'm sorry.
No, anyways. So basically it's a dummy camera. And reveals that he identified a man staying at the motel who he thinks is being visited by the FBI. Well, then we see the man that Callie was talking to and getting all cozy with from the bar actually turns out to be a cop. And he comes back and he's talking with Kevin, and he's saying how, he was like, I was trailing her, even though he's like, you're not supposed to be undercover. He's like, I know, but I got some good information, and it relays the info to Kevin about Shauna cheating.
And he's trying to put, we know the pieces go together, but he's trying to convince Kevin, right? And then we have one last scene from the present, where the school calls Sonia, Thaisa's ex, because they're still together but separated, and says that son never left school. Thaisa imagined the whole thing, and then as they're confronted, Thaisa kind of dissociates, and they get into a car wreck. From there, and that is where we leave off in the present.
I knew something like that was obviously too, and this is a huge thing, when in any show, I swear, when people are driving, they're having like those full-on conversations, you're like, like it's just not happening. It's not good.
Nope.
But yeah, well, I have a sneaking suspicion that either Sonia's dead, or I just feel like it's going to end up to where Thais is going to have to take care of their son.
Yeah.
Which Sonia doesn't want. So that's what I think is going to end up happening. Whether she lives or dies, I think she'll be incapacitated, so to speak. I'm really looking forward to more of seeing Natalie and Lottie at the commune, because I think there's still more that Lottie's not saying. So it'll be very interesting. But I'm kind of curious because I really enjoyed this episode, but I'm hoping that we eventually, I would assume, I'd like to see, now that they've had flesh, who are they going to pick off?
Right.
Who's
right? How
gonna
long
be
is
the
Jackie
weak
going to
link?
last them?
Right?
Because they were going in. They weren't leaving much left.
No. Do you think we'll still see Jackie hallucinations for Shauna? Or do you think that's the last we see of Jackie?
I think we will get smaller glimpses. I don't know if she's going to have full-on conversations with Jackie, but I can see it because that seems to be the running thing, right? They're all seeing dead people. Something, right? They're all hallucinating. So I can see that. I mean, it's interesting that she's not seeing her in the present, right? So that doesn't continue that far, but maybe for the time being, and maybe until she gives birth or whatever, while they're in the wilderness, maybe.
Yeah, I did think about that she's not having that But who knows? Maybe she'll become more unhinged as, it goes along because one, I think Adam is on to her. Or not Adam, I'm sorry, Kevin is on to her about Adam. And I just think her and Jeff are gonna kind of spiral out. But something needs to happen to Callie. I can't stand her. Like smack her or something. I don't know.
She's. I mean, I get why she's annoyed, but at the same time, it's like you can handle a little better. Have a full-on conversation with your parents, not be so angry all the time. But yeah.
Oh, God, the angst makes me so mad. But either way, I had a good time. So for all of those watching, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and just hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we put out new content. We've got, obviously, we're going to keep up with the forgot the name, Yellowjackets recaps. You've got George, who's now becoming a gamer. It's actually kind of funny to watch at times. Check that out. And then our normal podcast episodes, and we've got some interviews coming out and some reviews, all that fun stuff. And you're probably going to see me and Steve start to go live every other Thursday.
Ooh, yeah. First one was a blast. Figured do it again. It
was. So, you know what? Till next time, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.